Again, my name is Carissa Gilman Hernandez. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm going to just call on folks to introduce themselves and just share with us your name, pronouns, and use one, limit two adjectives to describe how that presentation made you feel. And I don't know is, I think, a perfectly acceptable adjective to use. And so I'm going to pick on Maxie to go first.
Hi, my name is Maxie. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and thank you. That presentation made me feel trashy, just as a nod to trash. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. I'm going to kick it then to Madeline.
Hello everyone, my name is Madeline. My pronouns are she, hers, hers, and I was very frustrated and also inspired by the presentation.
Zach.
Hi, good evening. My name's Zach. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I was also frustrated and felt disrespected.
Elizabeth.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I felt let down by the city, and also a bit hopeful hearing about the work from these community groups.
Ken.
Hi everyone, my name is Ken. My pronouns are he, him, his, and everybody's already stolen my pronouns. I was going to go with sad, but also a little bit hopeful.
Caroline. Caroline, do you want to come off mute and introduce yourself? Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, hi, this is Carolyn. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Made me feel sad and I'm going to go with 3. Sad, frustrated, and a little hopeful.
Thank you. Terry.
Hi, my name is Terry Plain, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And the presentation made me feel taken advantage of. But you know, as it went through, I did feel hopeful. So those were the 2.
Thank you. Callie.
Hi again, everyone. My name is Callie. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and a lot of people have said frustrated, but I agree. I'd say frustrated is the primary emotion that I feel when presenting on these issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Crawford.
Oh, sorry, it's Jamie. He, him. I actually feel both frustrated and optimistic. I'll go with that.
Okay, I like that. And then Nicole.
Good evening, Nicole Adewale. And when you talk about feelings, I don't have a feeling. I am unsurprised. I'm a civil engineer, so I'm very familiar with this, working in the city, and am very, very familiar with concepts such as Team 4 and some of the patterns you have. I've also studied working on a second degree. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
I'm very glad you're here. And I think I got everybody. If I missed you, raise your hand, I guess. We're good. Great. And then I guess my adjectives would be impressed by what the numbers were and by the quality of the presentations. And just angry that it's out there. But thank you all so much for being here tonight. We, between all of the groups who've been working on this, we have been just really looking forward to finally getting like that community involvement and listening. So thank you for being here. So to kind of just start us off with like some questions, does anybody want to share what environmental racism means to them, or what it brings up, or any experience that they'd like to just kind of start with?
Hello, everyone.
This is
I can just
Terry.
say,
I'm sorry, Terry. I saw Madeline jump in first, and then we'll get to Terry.
sorry about that. For me personally, I learned about environmental racism at a young age. Contrasting my grandmother's home in the Ville with my my home in St. Charles County, and just at a really young age, noticing the difference and really just making the connection between race and place. And it's what, ever since then, I've just been passionate about this work and just getting involved. It's the reason why I went to law school, just to get involved in these issues. So just noticing the difference at a young age was just so startling to me. And I thought, you know, this is the law, these are broken, this should be a simple fix. Naively, I thought that growing up. And so just still working on these issues, I'm passionate about that, the difference between how communities live.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really great to like see that you saw that so young, and it's guided how you're making your decisions now. Terry, what would you like to share?
I see it related to discriminant perceptions and practices and policies that that negatively affect environments, and that could be based on kind of prevalent conditions related to lead. It could be, it definitely is related to our environment, related to housing vacancy and dumping. And so there are components, negative components that have been deliberately disregarded within targeted communities.
Yeah, that's very like everything you just said. And I'm glad that you brought up that like discriminative policies, because none of this was like by chance. It's been designed from the beginning. And I think we're really seeing that, and it sounds like a lot of people have firsthand experience experiencing it as well and living it. How many, like, first off, does anybody else care to share right now? Sorry, just steamrolling.
I was just gonna say that it makes me think about like the intersectionality of issues, both in the context of like so many issues overlapping in environmental racism, but then also like other issues, social justice issues, and racism in general, and how there's like these different, I guess, like parts of society that are all coming together that were, like you said, like planned or on purpose, that like have continued, you know, that I feel like I hear from other white people that it's like, that was a while ago, you know, like we're fine now, and we're not. And just the, like the historical setup for problems that are still existing.
That's very true. And if you haven't had a chance to read through or look through the environmental racism report, you'll see when doing so that like one issue affects this issue, which affects this issue, and like they all just like are symbiotic off of each other. And so by, you know, coming up with policies and plans, like we've got to attack a lot of little things at the same time to make the changes that we need to see. So yeah, Zach, go for it.
Sorry, I know you're about to move on.
No.
Yeah, it makes me think a lot about, like, we were talking about the design and the plan of the systemic and institutionalized racism, but also just how it exacerbates inequality within our society and devaluation of certain populations, a lack of investment, intentional disinvestment, and a way to really show like a lack of care and respect for certain groups of people, and how it's to the extent to where I think you could argue that it really says that we don't care about certain people and we actually would prefer them not to be here, and that it's better to pollute this land to get them to leave, and then we can remediate it later. And so I don't know, I think it is, you can make a lot of comparisons to like the plight of the indigenous peoples as well with a lot of this stuff that's currently happening. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, no, there's definitely, I mean, I think one of the real things happening right now is that these atrocities are happening on stolen land. And that's just a reality that like we all have to like sit and live with. Does anybody else care to share anything at this time?
I just want to add, we don't have to sit anymore.
Yeah. Maxie's my like, come on, do more person, which I appreciate having them for that. And y'all like picturing your immediate community, and you all can picture that however you want it to mean. What is your experience with vacant housing and vacancies in your area?
Well, on my street and kind of in my corridor, my house is between Arkansas and Louisiana. It was a progressive, the vacancy was progressive over pretty much a decade. And it was right in the 2008 recession. And it just changed the whole street personality, when it came to vacancy. It just felt weird. I would be able to kind of, when I moved there, be able to just kind of speak and feel friendly. But it just changed to not even really be able to do that kind of just level of kind of neighbor, type of behavior that we would like to have more of. So yeah.
Yeah, I've heard stories before of people sharing that, as neighbors unfortunately lose their homes, you also lose that connection,
Yeah.
sense of trust in your community. Does anybody else want to share kind of how vacancies are impacting or their experience with them in their community? Zach?
Yeah, I'll speak to kind of vacancies more generally. My main project that I work on is Prop NS, and so it's like analyzing vacant buildings that are in LRA's inventory to stabilize so that they can hopefully be occupied by residents. And I very similar to, I'm sorry, it says V plane, Teresa?
Terry.
Terry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's similar to what Terry was saying, like kind of seeing how these vacant buildings degrade over time. Like I often wonder if we had investment into these properties even 5 years ago, how many more could be saved rather than be demolished, and kind of the health effects that come with demolition as well. And so, yeah, I mean, there's also like, I think it's very messed up how much property owners and like speculative landlords or speculative property owners have over like a lot of power over communities and neighborhoods, because waiting out for a market to become hot at the expense of everybody living around it, I think it's a huge flaw within our system, and we don't have the means at this moment to really do much about it. Thanks.
Thank you. in like one or two sentences, do you want to share what Prop NS is?
Sure, thanks. Prop NS is a voter-approved initiative that allows anybody in the city to nominate a vacant LRA residential building that's currently available to be purchased for stabilization. So to make it weatherproof, essentially. And we'll put up to $30,000 into single-family houses, and then up to $50,000 into 2 to 6 family residential buildings, and then we put them up to auction and sell them to the highest bid, which I wish we could sell them to owner occupants or things like that, but that's not what we're allowed to. So thank you.
Thanks. So thank you for sharing that about NS, and I'm just going to highlight one thing that I am writing down is because this is about the solution series. So Zach did mention taking the Prop NS buildings and selling them rather than to the highest bidder to owner occupy. So thank you for a little nugget. And I saw not Crawford, Jamie. Am I remembering your name correctly? Yes, Jamie looked like they wanted to say something. Sorry if I'm picking on you and you did not. You're muted.
That's my problem of many. Sorry, I just want to know how well the program was going.
Is that for me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Zach.
No, it's okay. And we can definitely talk about other things because I talk about this a lot with work. So sorry if I'm taking up the space. It's actually still in kind of a pilot phase, even though it's publicly launched for nominations. I'll drop a link in the chat and people can check out what's been nominated so far. But we have, within the pilots, we've got one completed and 2 others that are pretty close. The construction's close to being done. Of course, these buildings still need to be like fully rehabbed. They're definitely not like move-in ready for anybody. And so once we do, probably within the next month or so, they're going to be listed for open to bid on our website. And I will put a little caveat on that. Selling them to the highest bidder. The prices will, it's not a caveat, but it's just something else. The prices that the opening bid is at is whatever they're currently listed as an LRA. So most of them are like $1,000. So I know like El Torian Hawkins in the 27th Ward, he's like very excited about stuff. I was on a meeting with him next week and he like really pushes people in his community to rehab those buildings. So I'm hoping we can like hook him and some of his neighbors up with stuff like that. But it's coming along slowly. I wish it was coming along quicker, but sorry for not the clearest answer.
It's all right. Appreciate it.
Thank you for that. Does anybody else want to share their thoughts or experiences with vacancies in their community?
I'll do it. I mean, we're just killing time for a second. So I grew up here in St. Louis. So vacancy has always just kind of been in the background of everything. I wound up moving down to New Orleans after Katrina with Red Cross. And the first year I was like the only person living on my block. It was just abandoned and dilapidated, things collapsing, lots of raccoons. But New Orleans came back. And so in my heart of hearts, as I move back here, I would like to see the same thing happen. Now it's just a matter of figuring it out. I got one abandoned fourplex across from me and a whole bunch of other stuff just generally around, but people have dumpsters out. Stuff is happening, at least in my neighborhood. I would like to see it spread.
Yeah, for sure. And like, yeah, Brevoy Park, I hear from a lot of people that the raccoons have like taken up entire like 3 houses. It just belongs to raccoons now.
Yeah,
so that's a St. Louis issue. So like hearing this conversation, how it's going and things that people have brought up, is there, and we can dream big, like there are no limitations to this conversation? Are there things sparking or things happening in your minds that are like, oh, I wonder if this would work, or I've seen this on the news elsewhere, and or wouldn't it be nice if this was different in St. Louis?
So, good evening, everybody. I'll take that. I think what would be nice if it were different, and this meeting was not what I was expecting, but I'm very pleasantly surprised by
I'm glad to hear that.
and the discussion, because I think that it's necessary for more of the community to be engaged in these issues, to be able to advocate. So as I make my money off of things like the MLS and opportunities downtown, but we need more people that when those opportunities come up, they're advocating for those vacant areas. They're advocating for things like either some kind of protective barriers, plants, community gardens. There are a lot of different things that can be done, and even to an extent of considering some properties to remain green, but green them in a way that they're not attractive to dumpers, but provide a valuable service in terms of drainage protection in different areas. So I encourage everybody. I appreciate being a part of this, and I look forward to more discussion. But I think that advocacy in organizations like the Vacancy Collaborative, and advocating with your aldermen and going to different neighborhood meetings to force people to do something with those groups. If we're going to spend money on the MLS, we can find money to clean up vacant lots. And you mentioned some of the organizations that are doing the neighborhood cleanup. I didn't hear Better Family Life, but please note that they are Better Family Life prior to some changes, Better Family Life and the Urban League have been engaged in neighborhood cleanups in North St. Louis. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, thinking about, those spaces, like turning into green spaces, it doesn't just affect the look and the feel of the neighborhood, but also like the air quality, and giving, pulling those pollutants out and cooling down our city, which is desperately needed during the summer. So I appreciate you thinking in that space. Does anybody else have some sparks that they want to share?
Just brainstorming. So I wasn't aware that the contractors were the largest contributors to the illegal dumping, which was really just shocking and sad. And so thank you for sharing that information. And I'm just wondering with how the country is coming into this racial awakening, and since the fine is not that large to punish these illegal contractor dumping, if almost there was something to play out in the press to link the racial disparities with illegal dumping, or even going forward and contacting construction unions and saying, this is a huge race issue, and will you pledge that your union or will your company not illegally dump? And then almost maybe try to have the construction industry check themselves before, almost using it as a PR thing. Do you want this to become a scandal for you all? Something like that. The $500 is not enough to hold someone accountable. And so maybe just doing a PR angle might, just an idea.
Amazing. We have just under a minute left, but that was phenomenal. Thank you. Anybody have 30 seconds of thoughts?
I just wanted to clarify one thing, that we don't actually have the data to say that contractors are contributing the most, but it is a significant amount for sure.
Thank you, Callie.
Mm-hmm.
With us being kicked out of our rooms shortly, I just want to say that thank you all for sharing and opening, and this was just fantastic, and my mind is now racing, so I appreciate all of that from y'all, and I hope to see you at the next meeting.